Hello. Y'all, welcome to First Baptist Church of Decatur. I am Zach Mason. I'm the youth and young adult pastor here. And so a couple things before we get started. Just want to thank Joe and the Georgia Center of Book and ER here with Charis Books for putting on this event tonight, and Deborah, who does a lot of work with the Conversations event within FBC Decatur to get us to host events like this and have you all come and join us. So it could not happen without any of those people. So just wanted to say before I give it over to ER here, thank you so much for being here. We do not take it lightly that you are here, because I can safely assume that quite a few of you have been told never to show up again in a place like this. And so to you, I want to say, from our side, we should be asking you for forgiveness since you are in this space tonight. And if you are not ready to forgive anything, please don't. But know that you are loved, and we are so grateful you are here tonight. And we have a really, really special, as you all know, or you wouldn't be here, special couple of authors here to tell you about the work that they're doing. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to ER.
Thank you, Zach. We really do love being here at the First Baptist Church of Decatur, and we're very grateful to our partnership with them, with the Georgia Center for the Book. And events like these don't happen without tons of volunteers and workers. So thank you to everyone who is here, who has given their time and their energy to help make this exciting event happen. I think that we are Casey's biggest stop on the tour, so give it up. As we should be, so good job. I'm ER Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books. Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. Thank you. And I hope that you already know, but just in case you don't, we're turning 50 in November. And, you know, some other stuff is happening in November. We decided that we needed to party one way or another. So, November 2nd and November 9th, we're having two parties. Because November 5th. So we would love for you to be a part of our 50th birthday celebrations. There's a dance party, there's an in-store party and sale. We'll be doing some space holding on November 5th and November 6th to make art together, to process whatever feelings we need to process, whatever is happening. But really, we want to honor the fact that you as our community have been with us in one way or another for these 50 years, and we're so grateful. You don't turn 50 without having an incredible force of will and community behind you, so thank you. If you want to learn more about it, you can pick up one of our Take Root Among the Stars black bookmarks that are out on the table. That's a quote from Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. If you've never read that book, it's a great time to read it. It takes place in 2024. And there's an election in it. And there's some stuff, there's some parallels, right? So we chose it as our theme because we want to encourage all of us to have our roots in the soil of our community, right? But to also be looking to the stars. So we invite you into that process. I want to thank also Casey's publisher, St. Martin's. Thank you to Megan, who is here tonight, her publicist. I want to say that y'all look fabulous. Way to nail the theme, Côte d'Azur. Give it up for yourselves. We have never had a book event with a theme before, so we're gonna do it now all the time. We're really excited to have Julian Winters here with us. Yes. Julian is the author of the award-winning young adult novels Running with Lions, Right Where I Left You, How to Be Remy Cameron, The Summer of Everything, and As You Walk On By, as well as, coming out, I think next week, Prince of the Palisades, and his adult romance debut, I Think They Love You. A self-proclaimed comic book geek, Julian currently lives right outside of Atlanta, where he can be found swooning over rom-coms, watching the only two sports he can follow, volleyball and soccer. So give it up for Julian as he comes on out. And the person of the hour, the person that many of y'all have traveled far to see, is Casey McQuiston. Casey is a #1 New York Times bestselling author of the romantic comedies, including One Last Stop, I Kissed Shara Wheeler, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Their writing has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Bon Appetit. Born and raised in southern Louisiana, Casey now lives in New York City with a poodle mix named Pepper. We want to get right into it, but I do want to remind you that you will have an opportunity to ask questions, or at least a few of you will. We will have a wonderful signing. Thank you all so much for packing the house tonight. Let's give it up one more time for Julian and Casey.
Hi.
Hi.
There's so many of you. That's bananas. So not only, we were saying this backstage, not only is this my biggest stop on tour, it's also my southernmost stop on this tour.
Yes.
Now that I'm saying it, I'm realizing Austin might be a slightly lower latitude, but we're gonna pretend it's not.
No,
I don't know
all.
geography. I'm gonna be honest with you. I realize this book does have a map in it. That's none of my business.
We're not required to do stuff like that.
No.
No.
Hi.
Not at all. Hi. I cannot, how am I even up here? I swear they picked the wrong person to do this. Because it's just not fair. I'm just such a huge fan of yours.
The feeling is mutual.
Thank you, but this might get very fanboy, so bear with me. Because, yeah, wow. This moment has been a moment I've been dreaming about for a very long time, and I'm so happy I get to do this, especially with this book, because it's Casey. I don't know, like, you know how you can go into a book and just expect certain things? I do not appreciate how with this book, all of my expectations, you said, yeah, you might as well forget that, because that's not what's happening here.
I think that's a good thing.
Oh, it's an amazing thing.
I always want to write something. I was saying this last night with Meryl. My favorite thing when I'm reading a book, especially like a queer romance, is to read a scene or a moment where I'm like, oh, you can do that? I didn't know that was allowed. I didn't know like this was allowed in like a traditionally published book. And I really want every book I write to have like that one electrifying moment where somebody will be like, I didn't see that coming and I didn't know it was allowed.
You say that as if there's just one in this book. I hit one scene and I was like, oh, okay. And I had to put the book down for a couple of days.
Was it Monaco?
And I thought that was it.
Was it Monaco?
Yes. And I thought, this is as hot as I'm going to get. Little did I know. Casey. My chili pepper bar for everything I write from now on is astronomical, let me just say.
You know, I feel like I was so emboldened by, like, I became, you know, I think I just started paying a lot closer attention to the romance community online in the process of writing this book and realizing, like, people really are into a lot of stuff. and also that like it's such a wonderful space for chili pepper type activity, and like the positivity around it, and the support, and the it's just like such a cool liberated space that I think is really, really beautiful and unlike almost any other place in this world, and it really inspired me to do some new stuff.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went there because it's super important as a queer person to be able to see how far we can go, and be so unapologetic about it too. Be so just like, you know what, this is me, and this is what's healthy to me. This is me, expressing myself in a certain way. This is also me showing that I'm unafraid to want the things that I want.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's very appropriate to sit here, like, very appropriate in this strangely poetic way to be sitting here having this conversation with you in like a Southern Baptist church. Because I went to like 13 years of evangelical Christian school, and I spent a lot of my adult life kind of being like, that didn't affect me. That didn't affect me. That did not affect me. And then I turned like 28 or 29, and I was like, oh, that affected me. And I started kind of unpacking it, and I think a big part of like the ongoing work of that for me I think it's wild to think that like I'm a romance writer who even over the course of writing my first 2 books, I think was actively not dealing with unpacking like a lot of the shame and guilt I felt around my own feelings around physical intimacy and the embodiment of your sexuality and your gender, and I think a lot of the work of this book was using not just like the romance element, but the food, the drink, the travel, the everything of it all, like the maximalism of it all, to work through that sort of really ingrained, like internalized sense of like needing to deny myself my own desires, you know?
Yeah, 100%, as someone who sat in one of those pews as a kid growing up too, where it's like, you only get to want these things, and they have to follow these guidelines, and you have to stay within these boundaries. And I love, all of your work has done it, but specifically this one, you said, what boundaries?
Yeah.
And I adore that so much. So let's kind of go back to the beginning, though.
Yeah.
Because every book of yours is a treat, and I have, the nerd in me has to know where the idea came from. I did not see this book coming after finishing Shara Wheeler. I was like, oh, I wonder what Casey's gonna do next. And I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
So what's the origin behind this?
I don't think I saw it coming either, honestly. I think I finished Shara, there was like, I don't know if you have this one, but I think you're a bit more prolific than me, which I very much envy.
No.
It's just like, if you've had the feeling of like finishing a book and thinking like, oh my God, the page is blank. Oh no, the page is blank. Oh no. It's like the wonder and the absolute horror of the blank page. And I think it was early 22, and I was like, the world was just kind of beginning to open up again, in sort of a limited way. And after, Shara was such a difficult book to write for me because I wrote the first draft like March to June of 2020, which like peak COVID in New York City, it was not giving rom-com. And it was tough, and it was like, it really showed me how much my ability to do what I do is really linked to my ability to like physically experience the world around me and pull inspiration from it. And so I feel like this book is like the most of that this book is like the answer, the absolute antithesis to, let's write a book about one small town while in total isolation. Instead, it's like, let's go out into the world and do a transcontinental European tour where it's literally about putting things in your mouth, the thing you're most not supposed to do during COVID. In more ways than one. Yeah.
100%. I told myself I was gonna blush, but 100% yes.
I was raised Catholic, so I'm allowed to do that in a Baptist church. But no, I mean, I really, truly, I think we all kind of like needed to reconnect with our physical selves after COVID. I think isolation plus pandemic equals, like, I think that's why so many people like transitioned during COVID, and like so many people, like we were all kind of sitting there like contending with our own bodies for like the first time. And I think where I arrived, one of the places I arrived after that was like, I realized like I wanted to like experience having a body again. Like I wanted to like put my body out into the world and like, and taste things and touch things and smell things. And I think this book is like very much kind of a hedonist vehicle for that to happen.
It is sensory overload in the best
That was
possible
the goal,
way.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, okay, we've reached a point now where you cannot make me want anything anymore. And
Surprise.
it just kept going, and I love that so much. I love that this book it's not just a romance between two people, or more than two people. It is very much a love story of food. It is a love story of drink. It is a love story of location. As someone who's never been outside of the U.S.,
I thought you were just going to say someone who's never been outside.
That too.
Same.
That too. I just loved how every city was an added character to the book. It wasn't just like, oh, and here's the location, and this is more about, Kit and Theo. It was, no, here's the location, and this is like an actual person. It takes me back to like the one last stop and how you describe the Q train. It is very much not just a place and a time. It is very much a person. Can you talk about your research going into all of these beautiful destinations?
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of like making the destinations of the tour feel really alive and really singular each time, because like that was my biggest fear, was the book feeling repetitive or like starting to drag, because we're like, okay, like, yeah, we get it, like they're in another beautiful destination, like, okay. And so like part of it was physically going there. Part of it also to me was like a kind of a craft issue of like, when I first outlined the book, it was like in shorter chapters, and it would be like multiple chapters per destination, and at some point I just like got them out of there, and instead I was like, no chapters, only places. And so the book is divided into like, each chapter is just like a long segment of the book with a place name on it.
Yes.
And I kind of like threw the rules of like, because I had been trying to like make my chapters shorter, because I know I am like the king of unnecessarily long chapters, and I'm sorry about that.
I love it.
I am who I am. And so I was like, I'm gonna do like these like really like propulsive like short chapters. And I was like, actually, what if like just San Sebastian was 10,000 words? But like that was part of it too, was like that feeling of like, okay, we're in a new place, So I was physically going to some of these places. For the places I couldn't physically go to, like I've never been to Naples. I'm literally like picture me on YouTube, like looking up like Streets of Naples, ASMR 4K. And you would be shocked how many videos are just like 4 hours of somebody with a GoPro strapped to their head, just like walking through Naples. And so like, that's research. Like I'm literally like watching this at like 0.5 speed, and I'm like writing like, okay, and this is the contents of the souvenir table. And like, these are the sounds. I'm like, and like, that's research for me. For me, like research, like, is going to the place and not just like experiencing it, but like when I look around, I am like always looking for that one little strange thing that's going to like kind of catch in your memory, because like that's what travel is. And I wanted it to feel like you're traveling and your eye is catching on those same little strange details, so I need to go and physically experience it as much as I can. It's a tough job, but like someone has got to go to Italy. It just has to be done, and I am brave enough to do it. No, so I mean, it was that, and then it was like a lot of, I loved reading about how other writers would describe these places.
Yeah.
Like I read, Henry James has a book of essays called Italian Hours that's just literally descriptions of Italy. and like the way I used that, especially when I was writing about like Tuscany and like the parts of Italy between cities. Like the way that he would describe the landscapes, especially just, like thinking about how that was during a period of history when like people couldn't just Google it, and people like that's so strange for us to think of, that you even before you could like have an encyclopedia tell you like what does this look like, you know, to think that that might be the only way some people ever experienced Italy would be like reading an essay about it. I was like, okay, so like show me how you do that, you know. So and then I ate a lot and I drank a lot and I took a lot of wine classes. And I like baked a lot, and yeah, I just honestly, it was really fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was like it was also a lot of things. I'm like, I know how I just told you I don't understand geography, so yeah, so like I wasn't even sure like where to start with like what does this tour look like. So I'm like on like the Contiki website. I'm like, well, what does a 3-week European tour look like? And then like I'm on Google Maps and I'm like, well, I need to know what the walk looks like from point A to point B. So I'm like one step at a time on Google Street View. Like, okay, oh, like, that's how like, but that's how you get details. Like, there's like this one scene where they're in Cinque Terre, and there's like this big emotional moment happening, and like Kit looks around and like all he can, like the only person around is like an old man in a kitchen chair sitting on the side of the road, and that is like the kind of thing you see when you're traveling that will stick in your memory, and that I saw on Google Maps. That's the secret of my beautiful ephemeral moment there, is that man was captured by Google Street View. And that's research.
I love it so much. All of the writers in the room, please take note to spend time on Google Maps, as I do. And I've actually done the whole GoPro of a city thing before, and it's so fascinating.
So these people are like the backbone of our society.
Truly, because like you said, it's for people, if you've never been there, they take you on the actual experience of what it's like to be there, and you get the sounds, and they're pointing things out to you, and they're giving you little history anecdotes and whatnot, and it's the most amazing. And I did it for a city I've been to multiple times, and I was like, this is a whole part of this world I didn't even look at before, so it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes I think research is literally just walking around. And I took a lot of tours that were just like random Airbnb experiences that were like, this random unpermitted local is going to walk you around Florence and tell you stuff. And I was like, sounds great. And you know what? Gian in Florence was an absolutely sensational tour guide. And it was only $40.
Sign me up. I want to meet all the strangers. Let's get into the romance.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Anyone who knows me knows I am a huge friends to lovers trope. Like
I do know that about you, yeah.
I am huge. I think a lot of it is because as a queer person, that I think is often the safest space for us to explore things like romantic feelings and platonic feelings, and all the big feelings you have, you usually experience with a friend. So this was already like, check, I'm good to go. And then you introduced me to a new trope that I will be obsessively asking other authors to write, which is friends to lovers to exes to, hey, let's have a hookup competition, but also don't have sex with that random stranger because I'm still not over you. I don't know how many times I screamed at the page for Kit or Theo just to say what they feel. It was the best experience in the world.
My sister, who's a very avid romance reader, like read it, and then she was like, "Are you ready for me to tell you my opinions?" And I was like, "Yeah." And the very first thing she said, she was like, "Okay, so like I know that like idiots in love's a thing, but like that was a lot." And I was like, "Yeah."
I mean, it was the levels you took us on is just Wow. Again, I think you've just elevated this trope to a place that I don't think I can ever come back from.
Oh.
So why did you want to explore that this time around with this specific, pairing?
Yeah. Oh, wow, pairing.
I got it in there.
Hey. Yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of the conceit came first because I have like such a soft spot, first of all, for exes to lovers. But to me, like the best kind of exes to lovers is when like there is so much baggage, like there's so much there. And like, I feel like the best kind of exes to lovers is like when you've already seen the first 3 seasons and they've broken up and gotten back together and you've been there and you like know all of like the backstory and like you're so invested. And so I kind of wanted to like reverse engineer that into this pairing, and that was where this sort of childhood friends to lovers thing came up. And I think also, a huge part of like getting older, like Kit and Theo are 28 in the book, a huge part of getting older is just like sometimes your childhood friends stay around and sometimes they change and like sometimes you change, and there's like the growing pains of that I think are really real and something I wanted to dig into with like writing slightly older characters than I have before. And so all of those things were kind of like tasty and delicious to me. And so I started with like, they were friends. I think they were gonna be, so I started with, they were just going to be regular old couple. They book this trip together, they break up on the flight, they still have to go on the trip, and then by the end of the 3 weeks, they're back together. That was like the simplest version of the story. And then I was like, what if I made everything so much worse for them? And so that's how it was like, they're childhood best friends. And they were mutually mistakenly unrequited crushes for years. And then they got together, and then they broke up, and now they haven't seen each other in 4 years. I'm like, I just want it to be maximum suffering, I think that's sometimes where it gets really good and tasty, and it was fun.
I'm starting to feel like you are feasting off our pain here.
It's just like the payoff. It's about the payoff. It's about like the stakes for them, because like sometimes also like a friend breakup can be even more painful than a romantic breakup, and then like when that's folded together and it's like also that one person who's like your person in life, for that relationship to fracture in that way and to then be so estranged, and like the way that the toll that would take on you, and the way it would feel so incredibly high stakes to even consider ever not just like speaking to them again, but like getting back together with them, or even letting them back into your life in like an emotionally intimate way. I love a high stakes. I love a high stake. And it just. I didn't want this book to just be a fun romp through Europe. I wanted it to be that, but I wanted there to be this level of like agonized yearning. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but I just needed like the agony. Like I am like raised on like the Mr. Darcy school of like, then I will sit here consumed with lust for the rest of the evening. I literally think I had like that panel from the Kate Beaton comic, like, on one of my early like concept boards for this book. And that was what I was chasing. I'm chasing that always.
Was it enough for us to deal with the pining of wanting the ghost girl in the subway? Now you wanted to make it all real and painful.
Yeah, I think that was something about this too, is like there's a level of fantasticalness to like my first 2 adult rom-coms where like you will never be in that situation. You're not a prince. You are not a time-traveling lesbian from the 1970s, as far as I know. But there's something about this that I wanted it to feel, so much of this book I wanted to feel really immediate and visceral, and it's like everybody has that one person in your life. Like there's this one part that Theo's thinking about Kit, and they say like, there's never been anyone who could fill the space that he left in my life, and like I've been not looking at that gap that's left behind him, but feeling the draft it lets in. And I think we all have that like one person in our life, whether it was a friend, whether it was a lover, whether it was family. There's like somebody who left you that way, and I wanted to make people feel bad. Because sometimes you have to feel bad to feel so good at the end,
Do I, though? Do I?
Yeah.
No, I did. And I will say there were multiple parts where I teared up, and then at the end I did have a very good cry that I'll be talking to a therapist about. And I deeply thank you for that. Let's dive into these two main characters a bit,
let's do it.
because they are the most fascinating people. Also, again, I spent a lot of this book yelling at them to just get it together. Let's start with Theo, who, like, right from the jump was probably like, I love all of your main characters.
Thank you.
But Theo, this is not a spoiler if you haven't read the book yet, but you'll immediately see it in the beginning, in the first chapter. Theo hopping behind a bar in the UK and changing a keg at a bar they don't even work at. Immediately I was like, I'm gonna love you forever.
You know what's so funny is that was one of the last Theo POV scenes I wrote.
No way.
So that was like the very first Theo POV scene in the book that's like not like a prologue. And originally the first Theo POV, that's like sounds so weird when you say it enough times. Theo POV. But originally the first one was just like kind of this more static scene of like Theo like sitting on the steps of Trafalgar Square, drinking a cider and like looking at the little bottle of whiskey in their backpack. And I'm a big scholar of like tropes, and one of my favorite tropes is like called the establishing character moment, where like very, very early on, preferably the first time you see a character, you give them like this establishing character moment that kind of is shorthand for like, this is what they're about. And I just didn't feel that scene was doing it. It was like, Theo is this kind of frenetic person. This is a really static scene. Like, it's just Theo literally sitting. And I was like, it's not hitting, you know? And so I just like rewrote, in like one sitting, I was like, well, what if it's this? And I rewrote this whole scene where it's like Theo jumping behind a bar because like they went into a pub and it's like a football grudge match on TV, and the pub, and like the Guinness keg is out and it's pandemonium. And Theo's like, look, I don't work here, but I worked in a lot of bars, and like I can do you this solid if you just let me behind the bar. And I'm like, that told me so much more about Theo than like my little like fucking navel-gazy, like introspective moment. I don't know what that was about. You know, sometimes the first scene like really is a stinker, and you gotta just let it be a stinker until like draft 3, and then you fix it.
You say sometimes, that's every book for me. I don't know what you're talking about. Every single book, the first scene is like, yeah, you were really trying there, but it didn't work at all.
You thought you did something, and let me tell you, my friend, this me talking to me, you didn't.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Theo's journey in this book? Because they are probably one of the most determined people I've ever read, but it is to a serious fault that I immediately related to.
Yeah. I mean, Theo is so fun to write because Theo is like, Theo is, I feel like I sometimes see Theo through Kit's eyes of like, I look at them and I'm like, you are so capable and you are so badass and you're so powerful and you are so completely held back by your own second guessing of yourself and like your fear of failure, and like they will go for something, they will go after something, but like they have this sort of ceiling that they imagine above themselves of like, I'm gonna go for something and I'm gonna go for it so hard, but I am not going to ever imagine it could be anything more than like the bare minimum of what I can feasibly achieve, you know, because they're absolutely terrified. Because Theo is somebody who like does mess up a lot of small things. Let's be honest, Theo has ADHD, you know. I also have ADHD. I know how that feels. Like, you know, it is really hard to like be an ambitious person and somebody with like a lot of like potential in you, and you feel so held back by something that's so out of your control that you feel you can do nothing but just like bow to it, you know, and let it determine the ceiling of your life, you know. And that is kind of where Theo is at, and I think the journey they have to go on in this book is to like stop hating themselves for that and to stop hating that about themselves. You know, like there's so many things they like about themselves. Like they think that they're hot and they know that they're sexy and like they know what they're capable of and they love knowing what they're capable of, but they're so scared of finding out what else they're capable of, you know?
Right.
And I think that's a character that a lot of people can find really relatable, because I think we're all afraid of like wanting something too much, trying to have it, and then the wanting it too much makes it bad, or you just completely overestimate your ability to have it, and then you're just embarrassed that you tried. And I think Theo is so afraid of being embarrassed that they tried. And I think part of it comes from like being part of this like family legacy and like this fear of being a family embarrassment, but also this feeling of like never really fitting in. And like, for those who haven't read yet, Theo is like basically, like if Dakota and Elle Fanning had like an older sister who was kind of a flop, that would be Theo. The flop eldest child of a Hollywood family is Theo, and sort of like a non-problematic Chet Hanks, if you will, and I think that like, you know, that insecurity, I think, is what really makes them have this texture of like what's really holding them back, you know, and it was a really delightful moment in developing that character when I realized that Theo was the unfamous Hemsworth brother. I was like, oh yeah, that's what it is. That's their deal. That's why they're like this.
I love that that's the epiphany you had right there. It was just like, oh, yeah, you fit into that completely.
Yeah, fully. I was like, what? Sometimes you just look at a character, you've like invented their personality, but you haven't figured out like, why are they this way? I don't know if you do this. I don't know if you do backstory first and then character traits, or if you do the other way around.
Other way around, yeah.
Yeah, so like sometimes you invent their personality because you're like, this sounds like a fun kind of guy.
Yep.
And then you get into it and you're like, oh, like what's like the demented little creatures under the bed of like, what's making you this way? And I looked under Theo's bed and it was like 2 other Hemsworths.
Oh, I love it. On the other side, there is Kit, who is the sweetest, protective person ever, but also is someone who loves so much that is almost, well, not almost, it is a flaw in
liability
ways for him.
by Lord.
Yeah, and hindering him in some way. So can you tell us a little bit about not only his journey, but also the things that he discovers through getting to have this, you know, getting to know you moment again with Theo 4 years later?
Yeah, I mean, Kit, I think they both have changed so much in their time apart, but I think that Kit was this like sort of like was kind of untested in ways that Theo wasn't. Like, I think that the breakup with Theo is, I don't want to say the worst thing that happened to him, because like some other really bad stuff has happened to him, but like it will be like forever like one of the monumental moments of his life that like was like a huge like whoa, like this is like where the road forked and like I became a different person. And that was something I was really interested in digging into, because I think that Theo wants to pretend that's not what's going on, and I think that Kit is 1000% aware that like he's like his life is like BT and AT, like before Theo and after Theo, you know? And I think like that is his blessing and his curse, is that like he is like made of romantic love, and it's a wonderful thing to be loved by him, and it's a terrible thing to be loved by him, and he knows, and I don't think he knows the second part until after Theo's gone. And I think so much of like what he's going through in this book is like grappling with like, am I the problem? Like, am I always the problem? Like, will I ever be able to keep love, or am I just like this like emotional, like I'm just like the water flowing into the crack in the hull of the ship, and the water is my love and the ship is sinking, and like I think that's like such a scary feeling to have, of like I love too much to be loved in return. Oh, wow, somebody was like, oh, like I know, right? But like I also find that character really interesting and really lovable, because that's like so deeply vulnerable, and like that was like his thing. Like Theo really struggles with vulnerability. Kit is like a raw nerve, but like he doesn't always come off that way. No. But like he is like this deeply felt person who and he expresses that through like his prissy little aesthetics and like his lavender spray that he spritzes on his bed sheets and like oh, I love poetry and like Renaissance art and all of that, and it can come off really pretentious and really like erudite and like, you know, all of those things, but really it's like so sincere, it's heartbreaking. And that's Kit, and I love him. He's like I said this last night, I feel like he was my first attempt at writing like a fantasy love interest. You know, like in a lot of ways he has all of the traits of like a fairy prince, except for being a fairy. And I think that is something I really loved about him too, is that he does have this sort of like ethereal, like otherworldly quality to him. And that was kind of like what made me decide to make him like French American, somebody who's kind of like between two worlds, and I think that's something I find really compelling about him too. He's just so fun to write. He's my little Pookie. I love him.
I love him too. I love it's, for those who haven't read it yet, it is not dual POV.
It's like split POV.
Split POV, and I love how through Theo's chapters, I got so much, and I thought I knew these characters until you flipped it to Kit's chapters, and you dug even deeper. And I was like, oh, these wounds, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, no, that was to me, like I kept thinking about like there's this the key change in I Will Always Love You. Not to like go there, not to like.
But you did.
I'm sorry, but like I wanted, or like that plus like that meme of like a guy watching a movie and then like it's like one this and then two is like this. I wanted like the moment that the POV switches to feel like a combination of those two things, where it's like you think you know what book you're reading and then the POV switches and you read like the first like 5 pages from Kit's POV and you're like, oh shit, like. You know, and like I wanted to be like, oh, now I'm locked in. Like if I wasn't locked in before, I am like locked in. And it was so, I mean, I think that's like two people who know each other so deeply, like, oh my God, the way they can piss you off like no one else. And the way that you can like ascribe the worst possible motivations and also the best possible faith to them at the same time. Like the range of that, and like the way that Theo can like hold Kit on this pedestal and like resent him for things he didn't even do at the same time, and the way that like Kit can look at Theo and see like all of the wonderful things that underpin all of their flaws, and like that is love, baby. Like that is love, and like that is the complexities of like a lifelong love. And like I don't feel like I could convey the true depth of that with only one POV for the two of them, because that's like how deep their relationship goes. And it was, oh God, like pulling off that split POV is like literally one of the most gratifying moments in my career. It is like, that's what makes me love this book so much, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, completely nailed it, but that by the time we get to Paloma, I am on the floor.
Oh my God,
just
yeah.
A mess. And then you just kept on racking it up. I was like, oh,
I was like, I'm stabbing.
Yes!
And I'm
was
twisting.
like, I'm already bleeding out. Why do you need more?
I'm twisting, and I'm going up.
Oh, but also such a beautiful feeling. I want more. I just have a couple of more questions, and we're going to do a quick lightning round, because I know there are going to be a lot of questions, and I want to be respectful to you all. Can we talk about how this book is, we've already kind of touched on how, you know, unapologetic it is, but I really want to talk about how amazing it is with its queerness, and with the way that you explore queerness, the way you explore gender, and you do it in such a way where, again, it's like the world is continuously trying to box in what makes someone bisexual. What makes them trans or non-binary? What makes them who they are? And you're just like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. Yeah. And I loved it so much, because again, not only are you unapologetic in their expression of who they are, but it's also in the expression of, you know, their sexuality and how they go about. this is who we are. We enjoy who we are, and there's no shame in what we do, you know? And I love that about it. And not at any point do either one of them or the people around them make them feel bad about this quest that they're on. You know, it's just, you just let them be who they are, and it's such a refreshing thing to see.
Thank you.
So talk about, you know, how you were just like, F your rules, I'm just gonna do me.
Yeah, no, truly. You know, I think in a lot of ways I was like wanting to write something that was like felt really exciting and relatable to like people I know and love in my life, who are like people who live outside of binaries and people who love and express intimacy outside of binaries. And so like that was a huge part of it. But I think also, and I think you can probably relate to this too, is like when you are a person who creates queer art that has a price tag on it, there is this level of like boxing in that happens where it's like, well, like how do we tag this? You know, like what shelf does this go on? And like, you know, I feel really frustrated by that sometimes because that's literally the opposite of what queerness is about. It's the absolute antithesis of like what queerness is about to me, or like what transness is about to me, which is expansiveness, and like there not being one defined answer, and the answer being yes, all of it. You know, and I just like, I find it makes me feel like really itchy and like, you know, I don't like that feeling, and I feel like rebellious toward it. You know, the more I grow into myself as like an adult and like somebody who understands myself and like who I am, like not to say that like I've reached enlightenment, which like God knows one day I'm gonna be like, wait, Casey, there's something to unpack here that you didn't even see before. But like, I do think that like the more I get into my life as like who I am as an adult, and the more I'm like, this is me and this is who I am, the more I'm like, what are like all of these arbitrary like boxes that my work gets put into? Because I think that so much of like what makes my art what it is that it comes from this kind of like transient place of in-betweenness and like expansiveness. And I think that it was so important to me to like write a book that was like proof of concept of that, you know, that like this was a book that was about, it was about all of the different ways that different pairings, different people, different kinds of people, different genders of people, different moments, different dynamics can illuminate different parts of your identity and yourself, and teach you about yourself, and affirm things about yourself, and transform things about yourself. And so much of that is in Kit and Theo's dynamic just with each other, and that's why like they work so well together, is because there's so much there that like they know about themselves because it was illuminated by their relationship. You know, like there's like one of my favorite lines of the book when like after Theo and Kit have like had a conversation about Theo and being non-binary, and Kit is like, I don't know if, because like, and Kit has loved Theo since he was like 9 years old, and he's like, I don't know if I'm queer because I love Theo, or if I love Theo because I'm queer, but I know that there's nothing I want that Theo doesn't have. And I think like that is something that can only exist in a book where there is like absolutely no self-consciousness about what gender can be, and there are no limits on like what sexuality can mean and how that can interact with the gender soup of it all. That's like a very convoluted way to say that like it just felt really good. It felt like really right. It felt really honest, like what a lot of people in my life experience, and how they love each other. And it felt like something that I really, really wanted to see on a page, exactly the way that I wanted to see it, and so I put it there onto the page.
Yeah, that is one of the scenes I teared up on.
Yeah,
I love
that scene.
It is such a beautiful, breathtaking moment, and it was just one of those confirming moments that, yeah, we don't exist on one shelf.
Yeah.
Don't try to put us on one shelf. We belong on all the shelves.
Yeah.
And when you go to your bookstore, say, hey, I'm not looking for your LGBTQ plus section. I'm looking to find these books on every shelf, because that's where we belong.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that queer is a genre. I think that's very silly. I think that queers belong in every genre. I think that queer people and trans people like should be in every genre. Yeah, I mean, I like have such a love-hate relationship with like the gay table at the bookstore.
Oh God.
Because like, look, I love it, and I love that there is a place that it's all there. Because sometimes that is what you're looking for. You're like, where's the gay table? But like, I would like to be on more than one table.
Yes.
Because I also am a really good romance writer, and I would like to also be on the romance table.
Damn good romance writer.
And like, I'm sure you feel that way too sometimes, where it's like, you know, like people who aren't gay might also enjoy a well-written love story. You know, I don't know if you thought about that.
Oh, all the time, 100% like, yes, I love being on the gay table and the black table, but also, I don't know, could I be over here too?
Yeah, could I be on like the like literary merit table?
Right?
Yeah. Could I be on like this author knows how to put words in the right order table?
One more question before we hop into the lightning round. I don't know how much you're gonna go into this, so
Okay.
you don't have to share any secrets.
Oh, I know what you're gonna ask me.
As all of us fans know, you are top tier royalty when it comes to writing ensemble casts. You make me fall in love with every side character that you write, but this book, you flesh them out so much that I was like, okay, is the pairing becoming the pairing the series? Because a lot of these characters need their own books. So my first question is, do you have a favorite side character? And the second question is, what was that one side character that would not leave you alone? Like, hey, Casey, I need more space, more page time, come on.
Oh my God, okay. I mean, my favorite side character, I have three. Okay, I mean, like, there's different tiers because, like, Fabrizio is, like, really hard secondary lead. And, like, I love Fabrizio so much. Like, he's such a delight to write. And when you read this book, like, you'll know what I mean.
Yes.
We love Fabrizio. I really also, I love Paloma so much, our like sexy fishmonger.
Yes.
I mean, how do you go wrong with a sexy fishmonger?
You can't.
You really can't. And she's so hot, and like, I really love her. I think she's like, she has this sort of like sailor's like merriment to her that I find really fun to write. But I also, okay, I'm gonna say three. I also really love Maxine.
Yes!
Yeah, like Kit's friend who's like a mean goth.
Oh my God!
She's so funny because like I literally sat down with this, I just sketched out this character of like a mean little goth French girl who's like kind of chic. And then I was like, I had a moment of like, okay, well like, why are you like this? Like, what's your deal? And I was reading a lot of Shirley Jackson at the time. And I was like, I think she's like a wealthy orphan. I think that's what her deal is. And so that was really fun. But the ones who wouldn't leave me alone were the Callums. I know.
We all love the Callum.
And I've sold this anecdote at a couple stops, but I'm going to tell it again because I love it, and I'll keep it brief so we can move on to lightning round. But the Callums actually, so like a friend of mine studied abroad in Amsterdam and lived in like this weird hostel, and then the guys under her were these two guys named Callum, and it was Irish Callum and British Callum. And I was like, she told me the story, and I was like, can I use that? Like, I'm gonna like, I don't need any other information. I'm just using the Callums, because I could not think of a better name that was funnier than the Callums. And I was like, they were just like kind of like a jokey, like in the first draft, they're just kind of like jokey side characters, you know? And then I like had this, I don't want to reveal like what I reveal about them.
But what you did was...
But yeah. Whoosh. They like would not leave me alone. They're like, we're actually not a joke. Please respect the great nation of Australia. and yeah, so they really took on a life of their own.
I did love that they went from like, oh, this is like, they are the comedic relief in every scene to like, oh wow.
Yeah.
This is deep here. I love it.
I think it's really funny to think about being tour famous, like famous on your, like micro famous within your tour group, because that does happen. Like I booked some like very touristy tours just to see what that kind of thing is like in Europe. And like, yeah, there's always somebody who's like tour famous.
Yeah.
Like by the end of the day, you're like, hey, it was good hanging out with you. And I loved the idea of like, I knew like Theo and Kit were going to be tour famous within their tour group, but I was like, who is tour famous to them? And so like the Callums became the tour celebrities for Theo and Kit. And then it's very funny when they have a moment of realizing like, oh, we're everyone else's Callums.
I love it so much. Okay, gonna do a quick lightning round,
Okay.
and then we're gonna get
Start thinking of your cues.
Yes, please, but also think of like that one burning question, not the 10 that I have.
And if it's like a comment, not a question, I'm pretty sure anyone behind you will like cannibalize you.
Yes, that too. Okay, so this is called The Pairing with Casey McQuiston.
All right, I'm gonna keep it
I'm
brief.
gonna give you 2 things, and you have to decide between the 2 things.
All right, let's
Which
go.
pairs best with Casey, okay?
With me?
With you.
With me, oh.
With you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make it even harder. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, first is nights in Paris or days in Florence.
Days in Florence.
Oh, wow.
1000%.
That was quick.
When I was in Paris, I peed under the Eiffel Tower. I cannot believe I just said that into a microphone. It was a wine pairing dinner. There was a lot of wines. I put that in the book too.
I don't even think I want to ask you. I feel like that was a great note to end on.
It was just better in the daytime. Paris is better in the daytime for me. Okay.
That's fair. Absinthe or Shiner?
Absinthe or Shiner?
Yeah.
Shiner. Okay, here's another bad night in Paris. When I was in Paris, I was with 4 friends, and we went to a bar that was like an absinthe bar, and we ordered a flight for all of us, thinking it would be chill. Well, we ordered 2. And then they're like, we're actually closing in 10 minutes. And so we had to shoot 10 shots of absinthe between 5 people. I was not well. So you see again why I chose days in Florence.
Yes. Okay. Baking or wine tasting?
Baking.
Oh, wow. You haven't gone through all the wines yet, have you?
No. I love to bake.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's same, definitely. Peaches or apricots?
The 2 horniest fruits in this book.
Let me tell you, when you get to those scenes,
Well, we're in Georgia, so I'll say peaches.
when you get to that scene, DM me, okay? I will never be the same. Moonstruck or While You Were Sleeping? I know.
How dare you?
I went deep for that one. It's a deep cut. I owed you.
Moonstruck. I'm sorry. Listen, I know, and I will continue to watch While You're Sleeping every Christmas, but Moonstruck.
Fair. I get it, okay. A coffee date with Waspy Hunter or a lunch date with Principal Wheeler?
Do I have a gun?
And an alibi.
No, I think I'm going to lunch with Principal Wheeler just because, like, I was raised in the South, and I know how to like win over like a conservative old white man very well. It's actually not that hard. He's like, oh my God, wow, I didn't know that. So.
Sorry. So no Dropkick Murphys on your playlist. All right. All right, this is the last one. Oh, I can't wait for this answer. A 3-bedroom apartment above a Popeyes in New York City, or a villa overlooking the beach in Saint-Jean-de-Luz.
I just went to St. Jean de Luz for the first time, and I'm gonna have. Well, do I get the roommates?
Oh, that's.
I wanna hang out with them, so I'm gonna go rogue, and I'm gonna say the apartment over the Popeyes.
Okay. It's a fair choice. But also DM me when you get to the scene at the beach, because that was another beautiful, like, felt all the feelings moment. Like, incredible. Cannot say enough. Okay, so it is now time for you all to ask the questions.
Yeah, we have a mic right here. You can just come to the mic.
Let's start with about 10 folks. 10 folks to start.
Oh boy.
And yeah, someone's gonna have to do the miracle counting, and while I'm up here, we're just gonna take a publicity shot. And everybody smile. Yeah, get my job and then you can do that. Okay.
I can't stand for very long.
Class, it's so funny that my readers are so funny because it's like everybody's like, oh, I'm so sorry, you were first, I'm so sorry. You should go first.
The most polite, it's a Southern thing.
Okay, hi.
Hi, my question's gonna be quick because I have to sit back down. What was the most cathartic part about writing this book?
Oh my God, thank you. I feel like the most cathartic part, honestly, like the catharsis I was experiencing most of all was like that I was writing something kind of ambitious, but I was doing it exactly the way I wanted to. So like it was those moments that like a scene came out exactly the way I hoped it would, and I was like, I said everything I wanted to say in the scene. I wouldn't change anything, and I thought about it so hard. And like, so honestly, I feel like the scene, for a lot of reasons, there's like this very small sort of like interstitial scene where Kit has just like left the Uffizi Gallery, and he's like, they're sitting outside the Duomo, and he's like looking at Theo, and he's thinking about like all of the art that he saw, and like Theo and gender and everything. And like that scene was kind of like, sometimes you're writing a book and you're like, I've been writing up to this scene this whole time.
Yeah.
And then like, if you nail it, then like, that is so cathartic. I'm like, all of these drafts were for this. So I would say that. Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi, I'm little.
You can
Sorry.
tilt the mic down. Listen, I'm 5'2", I understand.
4'11", thank you. So, kind of long, but readers always have books that fundamentally change us at different points in our lives. And when we go back to them, we feel that spark again. For me, each of your books has been that for me. Red, White, and Royal Blue is the garden I go to when I can't fit in any of my rooms. And The Pairing is the book that I go to when I remember that like wonder is something that I need to guard. Do you have any books that are that for you?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. Thank you. How pretentious am I gonna sound if I name poetry?
You're not at all.
Because like, I don't wanna embarrass myself again up here. But oh man, for me, like sometimes it really is poetry. Like I feel like, and this is such a random poet to cite, but the way that Dorothy Parker writes about love, in this sort of like cynical, but like absolutely romantic kind of way, that like cheekiness of it and the like self-deprecating like my own dear love, he is all my heart and I wish I'd never met him. Like that like really invented me, you know? So I don't know, can I say like the portable Doe Parker? Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to say, as a non-binary person, the part that resonated with me the deepest in this book was, it was in Kit's POV when he was looking at the statue with David and he was kind of comparing it. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Oh, I feel like I've spoiled a lot, so just go. Yeah, I believe in you.
Well, he was comparing the statue with David to Theo, and he was talking about how he hoped he saw like I don't know how to explain it. I have anxiety right now.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that was the scene that made me really fall in love with this book and really made me feel seen. So I just wanted to know what your thought process was while writing that scene.
Thank you so much. I mean, the thought process began like a full year before I wrote that scene, because it began in Florence when I went and saw the David, and I went and saw the Birth of Venus. Obviously, I was very affected by seeing the Birth of Venus because I have my entire forearm is the Birth of Venus. I just I just remember seeing those two things, and they are like just both like so like emblematic of divine femininity and like the divine feminine, divine masculine, and like how gender is this thing that like, you know, is kind of so individual, but also like so informed by like what we imagine the ideal or the biggest or like the ultimate of each side of gender to be, and how beautiful it is to say yes, all of that, you know, and to be David and Venus at the same time, like how that is the ultimate. And I feel like this book, I was like, I wanted it to be the most of everything. I wanted it to be the ultimate of everything, and so I think that was really the thought process that went into it. I also just like really stood in front of the Venus and stared at her for like 30 minutes, and I was like catatonic afterward. It was amazing. But yeah, that was my process. Thank you so much, love. Hi.
Hi, y'all. So I was thrilled when I heard that this was Trojan horsing trans romance. So is there any moments in the book that you wanted other like trans and gender nonconforming readers to like feel like very like touched by, like any moments of joy, any like tiny silly details that you want us to pick up on, anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like one, this is why you need to reread the book if you've read the arc, because there's this one little line that I put in Monaco actually, where they're like they're hanging out with like this like hot older like wealthy guy, and Theo is like looking at this older guy, and they're like, he kind of reminds me a little bit of like Kit because he's this collector of the finest things, but like honestly he kind of reminds me of me too. Like those little moments, I think like Theo and Kit are like kind of entangled in this way where like some of Theo's love for Kit is gender envy. And I think those little moments where it peaks out, where they're like the way that they love the similarities between their body and Kit's, and like the way that like they love the way that Kit is feminine and the way that a boy can be feminine. Like those are like the little moments of like, aha, that I think that a lot of people are gonna enjoy. So I would say that. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I wrote it down.
Yeah, love it.
Okay. One of my favorite aspects of your stories is the rich cast of side characters we mentioned before that inevitably surrounds the leads. Do you begin a project knowing you want to introduce your readers to this community, or does it sort of develop organically as you write the narrative?
Oh, I feel like I always go into it like ready to. Like I know that I'm gonna have this big cast, like I'm gonna have these characters. I feel like for the pairing, one of the most fun parts of outlining was like sitting down with each destination and being like, what's the hottest person there? You know? That was like inventing all of their little conquests, and was so fun. I remember like going out to lunch with a friend of mine who I know would describe herself as someone who had been a slut in Europe. And I was like, I'm gonna read you this list and you tell me what you think of it. And that was really fun. But yeah, I just always know that going in, but I do think that like sometimes who they are will be informed by like the needs of the story. Like I knew Theo was somebody who had like all of this like difficulty around like familial expectations, and then like I knew there was going to be a scene where they connected with Maxine, and I'm like, well, this is telling me something about Maxine, you know. So it's really interesting. Like you don't like what these side characters will like tell you about themselves once you need them to tell you something that will make your plot work. But truly though, I mean, I think it really is informed by like this. What the needs of the story are sometimes, but also it's informed by like who is someone I think who is funny in my life. Like Lucy in One Last Stop is like 50% a friend of mine from college who is just like, I always think she's mad at me. It's just because she ends every text message with a period. But like she would kill and die for me. But like I always think she's mad at me. But yeah, thank you. Hi.
Oh, hi. So. Like for a long time, like you've always posted about having ADHD, and I have ADHD, and I'm studying writing in college. Yeah. And I was just wondering what your writing routine is, because I've been looking at a bunch of them, and I'm just like, I can't do this. So what is what you do? And like if there's no routine, then that's just what I'm gonna have to hear. But
Okay, you've already described the first step, which is trying all of the routines you read about and being like, what? Truly, sometimes like being neurodivergent is literally being like, you guys actually do this? It's like that meme, like you guys are getting paid, like you guys are finishing your homework? Like I don't understand. I have to stop referencing memes on this stage. We're in a church. No, for me, it's taken me a long time to kind of hit my stride with this, and I still don't think I fully have, but for this book, I do think like this was the tightest first draft I've ever turned in, and so what I learned is like outline some more, put it on cards. Huge outlining thing I figured out this time around was cards, and then literally like clearing the floor in my living room and like rearranging them. Like one thing I've learned about myself is that I'm really overwhelmed by like a lot of information being moved around in my brain, but if the things are physical things I can physically move around on a piece of paper or like on the ground, it works better. It helps me conceptualize this better. Color coding helps too.
Yes.
So outline. And then this time around, what I figured out was like, to get started for me, it helps me to start with a blank page of a notebook, because I don't know how to make this make sense when I explain it, but if I can mentally know that if I scroll up, there's like 50,000 words, it's like clutter, and it's like I can't, it's like it's just hanging there, and I know it's there, and I can't do anything because it's like there's 50,000 words hanging over me. So a blank page of a notebook, a pen, I sit down and I like kind of free write at the beginning of the day, and then I take what I've written out and I start transcribing it, and then as soon as I start transcribing it, I'm in the flow of typing and I'm in the flow of writing, and I'm able to like hit my word count that way. So like blank pages, huge help. Just the clutter of a draft sometimes mentally is like a hurdle I can't get over. But the best advice I have for you is like try out a lot of different things and find out what works for you, because like the whole thing is that we are divergent from things, and so what works for me might not work for you. What works for other ADHD people does not fucking work for me. And it took me a while to like figure out, like, once this became my full-time job, I'm like, how do I make this a sustainable career that I can manage? And it took me a while to figure out what that looked like, and it was a lot of trial and error, and it was a lot of mistakes, and it was a lot of really crappy first drafts. But I think I've figured it out for me for now. So just, it's okay if your method is something that you kind of have to work your way toward for a while, and that you will get there. I believe that you will. Thank you.
Hey, I always really enjoy like the bonus stuff on social media, like the playlists, the mood boards, and that kind of thing. I guess I was curious, is doing that stuff part of your process and like getting to know who the characters are as you're writing, or does it come kind of afterwards?
Yeah, so much of the bonus content I share on social media is simply like a better looking version of things I made for myself when I was working on the book. Like I was just saying, I'm like a very visual person, so that kind of stuff really helps me. Like a multi-sensory experience does really help me understand a character. And so like the playlists and the graphics and all of that, like the what's in their bag, like I need to know that for me. And then like the wonderful thing is like somehow I have lucked into a life where other people want to see that stuff that I need for me. And like people are like, this is interesting. And I'm like, it is? That's amazing. I think it's really interesting too. You want to see more? And so yeah, I said this on like an Instagram reply the other day. I was like, it's just like, it's me and Canva Pro against the world, baby. Like, thank you. Hi.
You write such beautiful and well-developed characters. I just wanted to know, I know you probably can't choose a favorite, but who's a character that you're really proud of writing?
Ooh. Shit. I'm gonna pick one? Okay, no, don't give me that option. I'm gonna pick an easy way out because I think they're the funniest character I've ever written, and I really don't even know like what spirit gripped me when I was writing their dialogue. I'm gonna say Zara. I don't like. Sometimes I read her like Veep-esque rants, and I'm like, what demon jumped up inside me and wrote this? So I will say that because I don't know how I did it. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. I'm also from New Orleans, so given the big themes of this book,
God.
I really wanted to know if there's a specific restaurant, meal
God.
that you miss the most, and if you found a good substitute in New York.
Well, the answer to the second part is no. First of all, if you want to pay $4 for one oyster on the half shell, come to New York City. That should be illegal. God, I'm just, all the things that are coming to mind are like not restaurants, but they're like, it's like Lundi Gras and some like a random friend of a friend is doing a crawfish boil in like their side yard, and they're like, do you want to come? And I'm like, I literally don't know who you are, but yes. But I am gonna say, last time I was in town, I had like char-grilled oysters at, oh my God, it's not, wait, what? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of it. This is unacceptable.
We won't.
Felix's. Yes. I almost said Felipe's. I'm like, no, those are burritos. But no, Felix's char-grilled oysters with like the butter and the garlic and like the. I'm gonna say that. That's my final answer. Thank you so much. Hi.
I hope this is allowed. This is a question about Shara Wheeler.
Oh my God, of course it's allowed. In fact, it is quite welcome.
So I'm reading, okay, so I'm just wondering if you're a Gilmore Girls fan, because there's like a very large subset of Gilmore Girls fans that think the biggest romance is between Paris and Rory.
Yeah.
And in some ways, the book read like a love letter to them. So I'm just
Oh my
wondering.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, those people are right, and they should say it. Like, Rory, ditch those zeros and get with the hero.
Yes.
But anyway, no, I mean, it's been a while since I watched Gilmore Girls because watching Gilmore Girls as an adult, suddenly you're like, every decision Rory makes you so mad. Yeah. And it's like, I have to walk away from this for a minute. Like, I can't save you from yourself, and it's stressing me out. But I will say, like, it's definitely in the DNA of that book. I feel like Chloe is almost like if Rory and Paris ran at each other real fast and like smashed together and became one person. That's kind of Chloe. But like, yeah, I mean, like the academic rivals of it all. Like, come on. Yes, thank you so much. Hi. Oh my God, I have that vest, and I'm really glad I'm not wearing it today because you look so cute, and I won't want to compete with you.
I would have cried. So I'm also, like, I'm from Baton Rouge.
Oh
and
my God.
I could tell we were from Louisiana, like 100 pages into Red, White, and Royal Blue.
What gave it away?
That familiar bum. I stopped what I was doing and Googled where you were from.
Not the Get Low reference.
Yeah.
Clocked so hard. Oh my God.
I legitimately was like, who would reference Get Low if not a Louisianan? So, yeah.
I've never felt so seen before in my life.
But that being said, your books are what I read when I'm homesick because I live here now. So what do you do? Like, what do you read when you miss home?
Oh my God, this is why I need to tour in the South. I love you guys. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. What do I do when I'm homesick? Man. Wow. I don't know. I haven't felt it since I've gotten to Georgia, I'll tell you that much. But I like my family is like Cajun and like Cajun. And so yeah, shout out. And so I'll go listen to like Rockin' Dopsy or like Wayne Toops on Spotify, which like the fact that Wayne Toops and like Zydecasion is on Spotify cracks me up so bad. I will. I do make a gumbo or red beans and rice from time to time. My mom is like a crazy good Cajun cook, and I do have the bragging rights of being told that I am the only one of my siblings who can make her gumbo. And I'm so glad none of them are here tonight to fight me. I mean, what else do I do? I mean, there's like, sometimes I try to go eat an oyster, but they're Atlantic oysters and they're $4 and it's like hard. But I do, like, they do have some really good seafood boil places in New York. And I will go and just like get like covered in guts up to my elbows, and that's like soul healing for me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
So I had two deeply unserious questions that I was going to ask, and then my friend reminded me of an actual slightly more serious question that I probably owe it to myself to ask.
Okay.
So I am also a writer. I've recently, only recently really started reading the romance genre in earnest and garnering interest in writing it. I won't say that you had anything to do with either of those things, but you did.
You can say.
Something that I find challenging at the outset is not only crafting two interesting characters, but making those characters compatible for one another. Is just, how do you go about doing that when you are building your characters for the first time?
It's hard. It's hard. I think for me, it starts with like, I always start with kind of like archetypes. Like, I don't know, Theo was a little more complicated than that, because Theo, I think, was somebody who was informed first by like the circumstances of the story, where like I knew they were going to be a somm because we needed a wine expert on this tour, but I didn't think they should be this like self-serious somm, because like who the hell wants to read a rom-com about somebody who's like pretentious? And so I was like, well, they're this like very like irreverent, unserious somm. But I think like what that did tell me was like a beautiful foil to that person would be this like deeply reverent of beauty and like this person who's kind of like really into the fine arts of it all. And I think that is like, I'm really drawn to foils when it comes to compatibility and designing two characters who are gonna be together. I'm really drawn to people who like meet each other's story needs, and like, because like when like the arcs of the characters and the arcs of the plot and the arcs of the romance all dovetail into each other, that's when you get like that delicious moment of like beautiful cathartic release. And so a lot of it is like I sit down, the first things I need to know about the characters are like their big want, their big fear, and their big flaw. And then like those things should kind of interact with each other in order to like really make compatibility start to click. And then you kind of build it out from there. But it's tough. It's hard. It's not easy. But I think if you start with those three huge building blocks, like the big want, the big need, the big want, the big fear, and the big flaw, and figure out how to make their arcs address those things together, and then give them some solutions to those problems within each other, that is like kind of the sweet spot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. First off, I think someone dropped a pin in line.
Oh, somebody dropped it. Wow.
Blue Hide,
Fork found in kitchen, enamel pin found on floor of Casey McQuiston event.
Someone else in line, so I assume they want it back. Hi, my name's Bex. First off, I cannot even describe how much your books mean to me. Red, White, and Royal Blue was like the first queer book to me that mattered in a huge way. Like when I was really a baby gay. It was really good, wonderful. But my question is, I know a lot of authors do, I'm not an author, but I know I do it with my D&D characters, that a lot of authors will write themselves into characters a lot. And I would like to know either like all your main characters or just a select few, what facet of each big character feels like you on a page?
Ooh, which one feels most like me on the page? Also, thank you for your very sweet words. I will go to my deathbed being an Alex. Like, we're both short and annoying. We're both Aries, Moon, Leo rising. We both are from the South and like we're raised Catholic. and we're both just like people who try really hard and are and worry all the time. So yeah, I'm an Alex, and I think I'm okay with that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Before we...
Wait, oh my God, we're like 30 minutes over. I'm so sorry, guys. I was having too much fun. I have one more thing. I have a giveaway. So I made, this is, if you didn't see this on my Instagram, I have a handmade charm necklace that I made in the theme of tonight. And one of you will receive this. If you turn to page 203 in your books, one of you has a golden ticket. It's a sticky note that says golden ticket. If they're on the balcony, I'm just gonna have to throw it like a Frisbee. And if no one has it again, last night I tried this and no one had it, and I was like, I don't have a plan B, I don't know what to do. Does no one have it again? I'm gonna cry. Oh my God. Okay. Should I go to plan? Is it anyone's birthday? If it's 2 birthdays, I don't know what to do. Okay, that's not what I asked. Okay. It's no one's birthday. It's no one's legal birthday today. No one? Okay, once again. We all know, everyone in here knows their astrological sign. You're at this event. Okay, Fork Fountain Kitchen. Yes, very true. Okay. It's your 1-year anniversary of being gay? Say more. I really, how do you,
How do we measure this?
Yeah. Okay. Wait, what? Oh.
Yeah, or who traveled? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Who traveled the farthest? Okay, this is falling apart on me.
I heard Orlando. Texas.
There's a lot of Texas guys. I don't know what to do now. Key West? Did someone say Key West? My God. Okay, do we have anyone who came from farther than Key West? From New York? You came from New York? Wait, but there's more than one of you. So now what? Do you fight for it? Okay. Can someone give me some guidance here? What should I do, Julian? There's more than 10 of you.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have the same birthday as me? January 21st.
Wow.
Are you fucking serious? Okay, the way that 5 people just raised their hands. We're about to be splitting babies like King Solomon.
That person really came out of the gate.
What do you want me to do? What do I do? What do you think I should do? You said it first. All right, January 21st, you said it first. Okay, you get points because you said it before I said my birth date. Well, there you go. All right. Well, your mom is here. Okay, wow. Thank you for that, guys.
Before we wrap this up, I did not, wow, we're like...
That was crazy.
We're 5 days apart.
The way the dominoes of that was bananas.
I did not realize we were 5 days apart with our birthdays.
Oh my God.
I'm January 16th.
Capricorn.
I sense that. Before we wrap this up, I do want to leave on a wonderful note so that you all don't harm this person who got the necklace. And which is just me genuinely saying thank you to you, Casey. Your books, I think I speak for all the readers in here, have helped us through some of our darkest times, whether it was politically or just the world in general. Your books have helped us to discover things about ourselves, but most importantly, your books have helped us to remember what hope is. When the world continuously tries to snatch it from us, you take it from them and you give it to all of us. And that means the absolute world to me, not only as a fellow author, but as a reader who needs to remind it all the time that being queer in the South is not the worst thing in the world. It's actually probably one of the best things.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. I'm gonna ask for one more thing, and then I'm gonna let you go. Can everybody please hold up their book so I can take a picture of my biggest proud of? Okay. Okay. Amazing. Oh, my finger's in it. Okay, thank you all so much.
Well, while you were doing that, just so you all know, you are now holding up a number 6 New York Times best-selling book. And now I'm going to snatch hope away. Okay, back to the signing line. So I will call you up. We will do this orderly and nicely because church. Also, for those of you in the cheap seats who were late, Section A, wave. B, wave. C, wave. D, wave. E, your people left you, so just go with D. Okay, you will be slotted in. Don't worry, next time start out 20 minutes early. Okay, so table is set. Don't forget, no post photos, no post videos. We're gonna take some folks already and just get the folks with special needs and disabilities out of the way. And then I will start calling rows, so chat amongst yourselves.